the speed. Touchdown.
Welcome into the latest episode of Mac and Mose. Andy McNamara joined by the editor of GoDucks.com, Rob Mosley. We're here to review Oregon's big win over USC. How about them Duckies?
Yeah, I mean, this streak they're on is really impressive. The way Vernon Adams is playing right now, it's just fun to watch. It's almost like watching Marcus the last couple of years where you can't wait to watch him get back out on the field because you know something fun's going to happen.
Ducks win this one in convincing fashion. It was still, I think the game was still in doubt a little bit heading into the fourth quarter as USC came back with a strong third quarter performance. But this was one where the defense, I think, building off of the Stanford win and some confidence that they developed there, they were able to make enough plays early and often. And Vernon Adams was just locked in on this one. I don't know. I sort of had a sense during the week that this, we've always said that he sort of looks for he's a big stage player.
Right.
He was like that at Eastern Washington. Any chance he got to play up a level, play against FBS opponents in Oregon State and Washington, he raised his game to the next level. Not able to do that maybe early in the season due to injury, due to just inexperience within the system. But now that everything is good with him as far as his health, his understanding of the offense, going against his childhood team in USC, it just seemed to be almost too perfect set up for a guy like Vernon Adams to just go out and explode out there.
And what makes him special right now is that when the bolts are flying, when things are going to heck around him, he keeps his cool, he keeps his focus. And yeah, I think that is a sign of just how motivated he is, how determined he is to make plays for this team. We talked after the game how, now in hindsight, he wishes he'd come here a little earlier because he likes playing with these guys. He likes playing here on this stage and how fun that would have been. But the situation is what it is, and he wants to take advantage of it. And you can just see that level of determination that he brings when he's on the field. When things start to break down, he's looking to make something happen. He's not panicking one bit. You almost imagine a little smile coming across his face like, yeah, all right, bring it on. It's time to roll out of the pocket and make something happen.
This was one of those games from an efficiency standpoint for the quarterback that was reminiscent of Marcus Mariota's performance at Washington State a year ago, where he had more touchdown passes than incompletions. Right. In this one, Vernon Adams with 6 touchdowns, he had 5 incompletions. Of those 5, 1 was an interception, 1 was a drop by Evan Bayless, 1 was a drop by Darren Carrington. Yep. So he really only had 2 incompletions. His passer rating was near 300. He after next week, or I guess this week's game against Oregon State, he will qualify to be among the league leaders. As it stands right now, he's number 3 in the nation in passing efficiency. And it's really come during this win streak where he's been able to get it going. Darren Carrington said after the game, when they asked him about playing with Vernon Adams, just how in the receivers' minds and the guys out there on offense, and they keep running because they've seen him in action now long enough. They know that he'll buy enough time to find him. He got sacked a couple times in this one, but I love how he just sort of it seems like his first instinct when he's under pressure is to find a spot on the field where he's going to be able to have a split second or two, and then he'll survey and look, right, as opposed to just sort of running for his life. He's very strategic in how he does that, and I think that's kind of what makes him unique back there.
Yeah, you see comments from coaches that what he manages to keep his eyes downfield while he's rolling out. It's not that he has to drop his eyes and look for running lanes or survey the pass rush to see how he needs to respond to it. He just sort of has an innate feel for the way the pocket's moving and how it's breaking down and where pressure's coming from. So he can react to that and move outside of the pocket, but all at the same time keeping his eyes downfield, looking for open receivers. And he did get help from his receivers. There were a couple of I believe they were both third down conversions where Darren Carrington, Dwayne Stanford, both along the sideline had to come back to the ball as Adams was rolling out under pressure. So they had to make plays for him. And, great catch by Dwayne Stanford on his touchdown catch. Great catch by Charles Nelson on his touchdown catch. So all those guys are just in great sync right now. It's really fun to watch them throw the ball.
Even Braylon Addison, while he was wide open, I mean, he had to extend. It's a more difficult catch, I think, than people realize when it's over the shoulder and you have to go full extension to haul it in. That was the first touchdown. It wasn't all passing. I think you really have to credit the game plan here, too, where Oregon went run against Stanford early in the game. This one, they shake it up, but because of the balance that they're able able to produce with Royce Freeman on the ground. Again in this one, over 100 yards. He's the only player in the country with 100 yards from scrimmage in all 11 games this season, which is a remarkable statistic. It shows his consistency, his dependability,
his durability,
and his durability, the ability to, to give him the ball and know he's going to get positive yardage. And the Ducks didn't find themselves in too many second and third and long situations because of that.
No, I mean, they frankly haven't needed to convert third downs to win the last couple weeks. I don't think, is it still the case that they don't have a third down conversion on a touchdown drive? There might have been one third down conversion they needed in this past game. Stanford, they had two, neither one of them were on a touchdown drive. They're just not needing to convert third downs to make points right now. So, it's just big play, big play, big play. And either you get it on first down and you set up second and short, or you get it on second down and you don't even get to third down. So, and Royce's ability to keep a defense off balance is a huge key to that, because as we talk week after week after week, the more multiple you can be offensively, the tougher you are to defend.
Yeah, just 2 third down conversions again in this one. So over the past 2 games, 4 third down conversions total for Oregon. They have 86 points.
Yeah.
So
that defies what you'd expect. Absolutely.
It really does. I mean, there's you can look at time of possession, you can look at all these other lopsided statistics, and at the end of the day, it's the scoreboard, and they've been able to do it. Let's talk a little bit more about the defense in this one. They gave up some points to USC. That was to be expected. Yeah. This USC team, I know they dropped out of the AP poll yesterday when it came out on Sunday late morning, but talent-wise, yeah. I still have to believe USC against maybe half of the top 25 on a neutral field is probably the favored team. I mean, they have weapons at every position. We got to see some of it. Juju Smith, Kessler's a veteran quarterback, made plays for them. The running back duo that they have now without Trey Mason has been phenomenal for them, and they gave Oregon some problems. But again, the Ducks were able to limit the big plays, and against a team that has big play personnel like the Ducks do in USC, that was a win.
Yeah, Ronald Jones, their starting running back, was averaging 7 yards a carry coming into the game. He ends up averaging 4 for the game. So, a huge key right off the bat is stopping the run and making them throw. Now, SC was able to stay in the game early by throwing the ball. 12 minutes left in the second quarter. It's 14-14, and Kessler's throwing it around the yard just like Adams is. But from that point on, 12 minutes left in the second quarter to the end of the game, the last 37 minutes, they scored one offensive touchdown. Their other touchdown in that time frame was Adoree Jackson's punt return, and that's a guy making a play and some coverage breaking down. But so you're basically allowing 7 points over 37 minutes to this incredibly talented group. And that one touchdown drive was the one explosion play, Davis with the 38-yard run. Mm-hmm. And DeForest Buckner talked after the game how after halftime, Oregon had really been flown to the ball, and so SC made some adjustments at halftime to cut back against some plays they'd been running and set up cutback lanes. And you really saw how quick, particularly Davis was. I thought he was really impressive cutting back. He can just, as they say, put his foot in the ground and go, and gave the Ducks some trouble. But then they responded back to that as well. And again, that was just the only touchdown they allowed in the second half on defense. So they're clicking at the right time. I mean, the secondary got some bodies back, which kept them fresh. Because they wanted to focus on stopping the run, they've played a lot more man coverage, Arion Springs said, in this game than they had been, and which puts pressure on your secondary, but they responded. The depth helped. Getting Cisse back, having Tyree Robinson available helped because they could rotate fresh bodies in and run with those big, fast, tough receivers from USC. So, yet another sign. I mean, they're not even close to perfect defense by any means over the last few weeks, but things continue to progress. Kind of all you can ask is that you keep getting better and you address some of your weaknesses. And I think, if you're being fair and reasonable, Ducks are doing that.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point about one of those touchdowns was on a punt return to one of the most electric players in the country, Adoree Jackson. As soon as that ball left Wheeler's foot and it was low and fast, you're like, it's done. Yep. I mean, because he was in the end zone so fast, it was kind of mind-numbing. But yeah, to allow just one, for the defense to allow just one touchdown after that point of the game where it was tied up. Some great performances individually. Joe Walker with 15 tackles in this one. He's really, I think, raised his level the last 2 games after that unit came under some fire, allowing chunk yardage to running backs for a good chunk of the season. But the last 2 weeks against 2 of the better opponents Oregon has faced all year, they really tightened it up. Him and Hardrick inside. Tyson Coleman, another nice game. Jalen Jelks coming off the bench in this one with a couple of sacks, showing his potential for next year and beyond, was a great sign. DeForest Buckner was his typical self on the line. And then you mentioned Cisse coming back. He had a couple tackles in this one, solo tackles, where he wrapped up and his technique was so good. And, there was no rust to be seen, at least from that standpoint. And I was really impressed by that, because with a healthy Cisse and Springs now with the experience, all of a sudden this secondary has gone from being atrocious early in the year from a statistical standpoint to maybe one of the strengths of this unit.
And we've seen that year after year after year. We've talked about the history of that position and its struggles, whether it was 2002 or 2006 or 2011. When you play young guys, they struggle. But if you look at the personnel from those groups, they ended up being some really, really good players. Aaron Gibson back in 2002, Bird and Thurman in 2006, Ifo and T-Mitch in 2011. When give these guys a little bit of a chance to get some experience and get their feet under their feet on the ground and under them, they're going to be really good. And we're starting to see that. Are these guys there yet? By no means, but they're starting to progress that way. And I think Jelks reminds me of Rodney Prevost a couple years ago right now, where, hey, all he can do is pass rush, but he can really pass rush. So, use him in those situations. And he knows that. He said that. He said pass rush is my bread and butter. So, they were putting me in good positions and I was trying to take advantage. And Walker and Hardrick, I really feel happy for those guys. Again, the fact they were playing more man coverage, indicates how much zone they were playing earlier in the year, which puts those guys, in having to defend the pass, which is just, they're not comfortable in that area. But they were doing it out of necessity to protect that secondary, and we know now in hindsight that secondary needed all the help it could get. So they were playing pass coverage early in the year and really getting exposed and looking bad for it, and took a lot of grief. And so it's nice to see, now that things defensively can be, a little more back to kind of normal. They can do what inside linebackers like doing, which is stopping the run, and they've been really good.
48-28 the final in this one, Oregon over USC, going away, heading into the Civil War on a 5-game winning streak. The 10-win season is still a possibility for this team. They obviously have to win against the Beavers and then win their bowl game, but when things started 3-3 and your quarterback's on the sideline with an injury, and it just looked like it looked bad.
There was a point that we were looking towards this week as maybe the only chance to get another win.
To become bowl eligible. So it's really turned around, and hats off to really the veteran players for being able to grind this out, and the coaching staff for truly being able to, I think, block out all the noise and focus on the task at hand, and they've really turned this thing around. Stanford has won the Pac-12 North. They will represent the North in the Pac-12 title game, so the Ducks are out from that standpoint, but they still have a chance to have the second best record in the entire conference, better record than anybody in the South, which will put them in a very good position come bowl time. So root hard for Stanford. If they can somehow find that back door into the college football playoff, things will look real rosy for potentially for the Ducks if they can get things done against Oregon State this week. We will be back later in the week to preview that one. In the meantime, if you want to get to us, hit us up on Twitter. I'm at McNamara UO. He is at Duck Football. Until next time, we'll see you.
Gets the corner into the end zone for the touchdown. It's through 50. He's got the speed. Touchdown.